I spent about 57 hours in Hades trying to get all 49 of its achievements. I wanted to see how hard the game was really to get all these achievements, and how much of a grind it really is. When I look at various guides for Hades, it can range from anywhere from a 7 out of 10 if you're not playing with God mode and you don't have proper planning, all the way to some of them saying it was as low as a 4 out of 10 with proper planning and God mode. Personally, in my runs, I was running God mode most of the time, as I wanted to try and minimize the grinding as much from the beginning to get my first clear a bit easier. Now, I'm not going to go through every single achievement, because once you're having achievements like Leave Tartarus, anybody can kind of do that. So I'm going to go over kind of 5 different sections that we tend to look at when it comes to achievement hunting. I'm going to go look at the game in its miscellaneous. I'm going to look at its multiplayer achievements. I'm going to look at how much of a grind the game is, achievements, and I'm going to look at the RNG related achievements, and lastly, how difficult, the difficulty related achievements. And at the end, I'll give an idea of how fun I think the game is to go for the 100%, and if I felt it was worth the time of me putting in my 57 hours. So, let's start with the first section. There are none. Okay, first I might just explain what I feel is different between a grind and an RNG achievement. So, an RNG achievement tends to be something which is more random. You can do it 10 times and it might have like a 1% chance to happen, and it's getting that 1%. Whereas grind is like, do this 100 times, and then you get some sort of result. So they can collide a bit, which does bring us into our first achievement I'll talk about. Nyx's Mirror and the Dark Reflections achievements. Ooh. New hidden aspect. Oh, there you go. Nyx Mirrors. Might as well go on quickly. Oh, there's 2 achievements! So with these 2 achievements, I lumped them together because they essentially use the same thing. You've got to get each of the upgrades and have at least 1 point in each of them, and you need to make sure that you've completed a run while having at least one of them equipped. So it's going to require at least 2 runs of having everything equipped, which you'll probably have majority of the starting ones done, but it requires a lot of keys to get the investments to unlock them all. So they're a good example of the RNG versus grind, because to get the keys, you've got to get them randomly through the run by choosing the door that contains the key. So that's where the randomness comes in, but majority of the treatment is going and grinding out to buy all the individual upgrades. But a step above that, I would put the achievement, the Infernal Arms achievement. The shield. We should be unlocking an achievement after this. Woo! So there's a lot to grind in this particular achievement, because you not only have to get all the weapons, which costs keys, you then need to get all the aspects, which cost Titan blood, and then you've also got to do special conditions to unlock the secret aspects for each of the 6 weapons. And then once you have all 24 aspects, that's when you get the achievement to unlock. So you've got to grind out each one, and the easiest way to get Titan blood is just to run and complete on higher difficulties. But beyond that, I'd probably say the second most grindiest achievement I found to have in this game was Friends Forever. Because obviously all... Oh! Max up each creature rate. Awesome! I felt like this achievement alone took me nearly like 40 to 45 hours of pure grinding, switching keepsakes, and just running over and over again. Definitely, if you are going for this, make sure that once you reach the Styx area, you go through all the tunnels before you face the final boss, as each encounter counts towards the progress. But I mean, overall, as long as you start it straight away, it's not that bad, because you're playing through all the levels anyway. And luckily I didn't decide to start it after I'd like completed 100 or so runs. because then that would have just been a 40-hour grind at the very end. But starting it early didn't make it that much of an actual problem. But I felt like the worst, and my final achievement I earned in the game, and the most grindiest in my opinion, is complete set. Companionators! Come on, come on, come on. As soon as I walk through this room, I always want to change locations. There it is! That is it! That is all 6. And that is all achievements. So I was a little sick in that clip. But anyway, the achievement, you need to get all 6 companions sets. Or complete the companion set. Which doesn't sound too bad. But, I mean, it is not great. You have to max a relationship with each of the 6 characters. Being Meg, Dusa, Thanatos, Skelly, Achilles, and Syphilis. And then once you max their relationship and you get them up to the locked heart, then you have to find a way to unlock that heart by doing their specific dialogue. And then once that's done, you can give them the ambrosia and they'll give you the companion. 5 of them weren't bad. Syphilis wasn't that great, but the other 4 weren't too bad. It was just Achilles who I had an absolute nightmare getting his completed. And I'll talk a little bit more about that once I get to the RNG related achievements. But I mean, I did all the keepsakes and I talked to every character every time I respawned. And then I did runs where I had myself end my run early and so I could reset the talking to the characters. It took me so much longer. The Achilles one itself took me about 7 extra hours on top of my grind just to get his done. So I'll give this a rating out of 5, how hard I believe the grind in the game is. And seeing that the keepsakes, I think I remember seeing something saying it was 1,875 encounters you have to do in the game. Which makes sense why it takes about 40 to 50 hours of just straight encounters of it. With that being said, I'd probably put it at about a 4 out of 5 in terms of grind. In terms of focused grind needing to be done in a game. There are a few notable RNG achievements. Probably the first one that comes to mind is the easiest, well, the one you can do easy that can be difficult later if you don't plan it out, is the thanks but no thanks. Actually, what we're going to do, can I sell the... Yes. Oh, purge a legendary boon achievement. So I got quite lucky with this achievement because at a certain time you do the floor, you're guaranteed a boon from Poseidon for catching fish. It's a guaranteed legendary boon. And if you sell that boon, then it counts as your legendary boon. So that's a guaranteed way to get one. I don't remember what run it is, but it is pretty early. But other than that, you've got to get the RNG or a legendary. And that is extremely rare to get a legendary. But one that's slightly harder that requires RNG is Death Dealer. Oh, shouldn't that be the 15 kills achievement? I got 19 to his 4. Yes! Considering you do so many runs, I feel like you're probably going to complete this achievement. Because you're more than likely going to get an amazing build and then clear a room way quicker than Thanatos at some point during a run. But it does completely rely on the boons that you manage to get through a run to get yourself kitted out to destroy Thanatos. And for the room to at least have more than 15 enemies to kill, so you can beat him by that number. I do believe though it is scarier than it looks. At times I think I killed 40 more than him. But it's not as annoying as the achievement Bad Call. There you go. There you go, Bad Call. I mean, getting the aids weren't that bad, and then having the room align with the aid is a bit more annoying when you need to find the room where they're fighting each other to choose the one that you've got the aid of. That can be pretty annoying to line up, but I think the biggest problem there is you have to get the bar completely full. You can't just wait for one of the segments. You've got to get the full segment and use it up, which is absolutely frustrating. I think I went through like 2 Death Defiances, or nearly all 3 of them, just to have enough charge through the room. Otherwise, I would have cleared the room too quickly. But the 2 RNG achievements that are way worse are, one of them is One for the Ages. To earn some diamonds. Oh, true ending! The achievement is quite ambiguous in what you need to do. It's like, oh, just reach the true ending. But how do you get the true ending? Well, you've got to actually get all the hearts, which includes doing their locked heart challenge on, I believe it's 6 out of 9 of the Olympians, and they each have their own specific unique situations you need to complete to get their locked hearts, which takes a lot of runs. So I hope you've just been occasionally talking to everybody on every run, but after you've gotten their locked hearts done and gotten all 6, then you've got to make sure Demeter has certain conversations about Persephone. And then once that's done, you've got to have Zeus to have certain conversations about them. But luckily, once you've done all that, it just goes, you can go, and it just goes, complete the true ending, and you just have a nice little reunion ending at the end. So once it's done, it's quite obvious, but getting to the point of each of those conditions is quite annoying, but it's nowhere near as hard as Divided by Death. Do it? Look at that. There's one of the 2 left. Now, kind of cheating when I say Divided by Death is what I believe to be the hardest RNG one. But the reason I say this is because there's 4 that are similar to this achievement. There's Night and Darkness, which is a little bit of an exception, but you've got to talk to Nyx a lot of times, and she has so many dialogues with so many characters, so getting her specific storyline going and completed is a pain. But the other 2, End of Torment and Musician and Muse, are directly linked to Divided by Death. Musician and Muse doesn't seem that bad. You got to speak to Orpheus and Ophelia, I believe that's her name, and you need to get their conversations, and you got to find her specifically in the second area, and talk to her and get her situation done. And once you've gotten enough conversations between the 2 of them, then it unlocks the End of Torment achievement, which then you have to do Syphilis, and you got to find his specific rooms and talk to him on the 1st floor. And then you've got to do Patroclus after that in Elysium for Divided by Death. This single achievement, I think, made me go from 50 to 57 hours. I think it took me 7 hours specifically for this quest line, and that's not counting the fact I did talk to them every time I went into the rooms. And it's just a back and forth, going up, spending your 15 minutes to get up to the Elysium just to try find his floor, to hope for a conversation. If it's not there, restart the run. And this is why I said the hardest grind achievement was complete set, because you have to complete Divided by Set to get their item. So you can't do the complete set without doing this achievement, and you have to get the RNG to get the room, and you have to get the RNG to complete all the rooms of the previous 2 conversations, because you can't do them each separately. It's one after the other, except the next one. That one I believe you can do separately. She just has a lot of conversations. I'd probably give it like a 3.5 to a 4 out of 5 for how hard it is to get the RNG achievements. Like, it can take a long time, but they do have a set amount of dialogue. So eventually you'll get through everything they have to say. It may take a bunch of runs, but you will eventually get it done. So Hadest doesn't really have like a difficulty setting, so there's no difficulty specific achievements. There is God mode, and everything can be obtained while having God mode activated on your account. So There's no difficulty specific ones, but there probably are like 3 notable ones I can think of. So I don't necessarily think difficulty is just play it on the hardest difficulty, but maybe certain achievements which also are skill checks. I think the first notable one is Champion of Elysium. That should be an achievement. Yeah! So for this, you need to make sure you have the Pact of Punishment up to rank 3 for the extreme measures, so that when you fight the bosses of Elysium, they have their special abilities, and it is a much more difficult fight to complete than the other 2 upgrades on the first 2 bosses, and adding heat does definitely make your runs harder, but I mean, generally you will get a good enough build, and once you're used to the game, you can generally smash through them, so I wouldn't necessarily say they're that hard of a part, but they are a difficulty check, because they are a lot harder than their standard versions. But the good thing about this achievement is you can kind of double dip it with the Skelly's Last Lamentations achievement.
Guess they're stuck here then, just like we are.
I don't think I've done enough to get this one. 32. This to some is possibly considered the hardest difficulty achievement in the game, but with proper planning I'd probably put it as the second hardest, because if you do it exactly on your 10th run win, you won't need to fight Hades in that run. So you just need to get up to Hades and complete his section, and then once you've done that, you don't need to fight him, and you just get the 16 heat. You do need to do the 16 heat all the way up to him, but I mean, you miss out on the whole Hades fight. Otherwise this achievement can be a lot harder, because you do need to therefore fight him with 16 heat. But I think the hardest achievement for difficulty in the game, and possibly the hardest achievement, is Thorn of Thanatos. That's it, isn't it? Yes! First try! I found the aspect of Charon very helpful for this achievement, because all I need to do is shoot them with my attack and then use my special to never miss a shot, which made them really easy to take down. But the fact you need to clear 15 rooms without taking any damage, and the small rooms in the sticks don't count, only the big room at the end and those ones, because once you get your max rank of the keepsake, you only get 2% gain per room, and you need to do 15. It pretty much makes it you can't go into shops and anything like that. You got to avoid them as much as you can to keep as many combat rooms as possible. But by the time I did it, I'd done the game like 50 or 60 completed runs, so at that point I was used to trying not to take damage in the room anyway. But I did find this to be the scariest of the achievements. In terms of overall difficulty though, I'd probably give it a 3 to a 3.5 in terms of difficulty if I had to rate it. Well, if you're not really into achievement and you're looking for a fantastic game, then yeah, it was definitely fun. 4.5 to 5 out of 5 kind of fun. But I would say if you're not specifically going for all achievements, then I would probably recommend doing it without God mode and having that challenge. But if you want it to be more chill, like I like my games, then I would say turn on God mode and then go for all achievements. 57 hours is a long time, but I mean it does recommend 70 to 100. So it's a pretty long grind overall, but there are worse games. And if you do plan things out, it isn't necessarily that difficult to get all achievements. I mean, personally, I was a bit worried coming into this game, because I saw achievements like on the difficulty scaling saying it was 7 out of 10, and you need to beat on 16 heat, and the heat is very hard to get up through. But I found after you get the hang of the game and you start getting used to it, it starts becoming a lot more fun and a lot more easy to clear your runs. So if you're someone like myself who was worried about how long this might take and how difficult it was going to be to actually clear it, considering you constantly hear, oh, it's going to take 10, 20, 30 runs to get your first clear, I would say give it a go. Yes, you're going to struggle, but how else are we going to learn and get through it? get to the end. And once you get through the end, it is extremely satisfying. And once you get that last achievement, and Patroclus gives you that last achievement, you'll be happy you've gotten that 100%. And if you've enjoyed this video and want to see more, why not subscribe and keep tuned, as I'll be definitely doing Hades 2 in the future, and future 100% as well. Anyways, I'll let this gameplay play in the background, as this was my best run, as I was just trying to get a run for a clip for the background, and geez, I smashed it. But from here, I'll just say, have a good one.
You're looking very stately there, Father.
If you are